I wrecked my voice this past weekend. Just spending 2 hours talking at full volume on stage will do that. So I'm not going to be chatting much today, but I do want to get this car on the road. I haven't really driven it at all. Nick drove it and Soren drove it, but all I did was move it from the street to the driveway. I want to drive it. We got to get the grill on, but after we fix the horns, because they're not working. And then we got to go put the latch. That's the one. Let's do it. I'm gonna sneeze. This is another perfectly teachable moment here. So I'm gonna show you how to diagnose if your horns aren't working. We have these wires that come out from the body of the car. So coming out from under our battery, just about, it's the harness that goes here, splits off into these components. You can't even see what I'm pointing at. All right, the harness is the one that's right here, and it splits off into the wiring for this piece, and then it keeps going. There's a little yellow electrical piece of tape on it. It has the wiring for the headlights on it, and then as you come down here, this is what comes out onto the horns. Now, it's safe to assume, I should say presume, on the basis of evidence, that this is our power. With the key on right now, we should see 12, well, it's either a power to ground or it's a ground to ground switch on the steering wheel. Now, because it's Volvo and they don't have a relay as far as I can tell for these horns, it's a ground switch, which means as we stick this other side to our ground anywhere on the car, we should see 12 volts. So 11.7 volts, that's battery voltage with the key on. That's getting to this yellow wire. Okay, now we want to check for our ground side. We want resistance. We want to make sure it's actually grounding off safely. So we'll take the black wire, we'll put this on our ohms, check resistance. Right now it's an open circuit. When I hit the horn, it should show some continuity. And I'm honking, there's continuity. I'm not honking. Back to open circuit. I'm honking, continuity. Now let's test the horns individually. I'm not sure which side's power, which side's ground. It's a bit confusing, and there's no marker that I can tell which one's which based on this. So thankfully, I've got an extra harness that I got from the junkyard for the horns, just in case it ended up needing one of them. So we've got just our two wires on this side here. I'm gonna put these on the battery and connect these to one of the horns. And because the second side is a lot easier to pull back the rubber on, I'm gonna be using the second side, but you can see here, this is the positive, this is the negative. So I'll put positive on the right, negative on the left. Now, just in case, I don't think this is the case, but I'm gonna attach these to the body because there's a small chance that they might actually require this to get a good ground signal. I doubt it, but let's see. After all, this is how it will stay. Now I'll take these two sides and stick them to the battery, see what happens. Let me strip the ends. We'll take our test leads here so that we can attach to this easily. What I'll do is just attach the ground side. So there's no risk of shorting out. I'm going to only attach, I won't use the red test lead, I'll just use the black one to attach the ground side to the battery. And my hand will be the switch for the positive. Let's see if it honks. Ooh, she works very nicely. Surprised me, okay. Great. Now let's just, for fun, let's remove this and see if it still gets us the same volume. Yeah. Okay, so I don't think this is a necessary ground point. You don't need to worry about cleaning that up, but just in case, if there's any surface rust, give it a quick cleaning. That never hurts. Okay, we'll move our leads over to the other side. Let me mark which one was positive because that seemed to work out nicely, and then I'll switch them just for fun. Let's reverse the leads. Let's see if we get the same intensity of honk. Make sure nothing's touching the body. You don't want to short anything out. And sounds the same. Okay, so if they're really indifferent, The question now is, what's going on with our car? We're getting a weak ground somewhere. What I'm gonna do now is leave the negative to the battery on our test leads here, except this will now be the switch, so I'll just disconnect that. I'll connect our actual horn circuit from the car itself, and we'll just check that ground to see if it's just a matter of the ground switch inside. Hope that makes sense. All right, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this. It's connected back to the car circuit. The key is still on inside the car, so it's sending battery voltage through this to here. And then I just grounded this to the car without using the steering wheel, which is the switch for the circuit. And it still gave us a good honk. Now let's try the other side. Now removing these can be kind of tricky because the rubber, you kind of want to peel the rubber back and then it'll disconnect itself. But it's a very nice and tight and waterproof connection, so good on them for doing that, but it just makes it a little harder to service. Okay, now we'll do this side. Still connected to the car. These are the ground wires disconnected, but I'll take our test lead, connect this, and then I'll just ground this and see if we honk. Okay, that's our high tone. Let's switch the wire and see if it's if it'll work with reverse polarity. Yep. Okay, so if it's indifferent, it doesn't really matter. Now the next issue, I'm not exactly sure where the circuit goes per se, but I can presume the easiest place to look would be in the steering wheel. So I'll connect all this back up, stick it in here, and then we'll start trying to diagnose the circuit since the problem isn't right here. The problem's further up. Much easier for this side because you could just push the wire through. Doesn't really go down much because of that center plastic piece, but it's enough. Why don't I put a little grease on this? Feed the wire through. I don't like this side very much with the two wires. Peel it back. Here inside the car, there's really not much in terms of the wiring to it. At least I don't think so. Let's pop off this center here. Best case scenario, it just needs to be cleaned. Worst case scenario, we've got a broken wire or something else. It can't really be that bad. Come on in. Don't be shy. Let's show you the goings on maybe here. Gosh, goings on is such a funny phrase. It's like saying passersby, which they're both correct, but instead of going ons and passerbyers, it's just one of those interesting weird little English phrases. All right, inside of here, we've got a wire there, which is our ground, and then this, of course, acts as the ground switch. And our key is off. Oh, okay. Just a simple wiggling and connecting of all the wires. That's pretty easy. But, you know me, while we're here, I've got another steering wheel I'd love to put in this car. I might make a separate video on that altogether, but you can take a look in there and see. Maybe I won't do it today, I don't really have the time, but... Uh-oh, that side's kind of dirty. Uh-oh, what happened? You were doing so good. We were so let me wiggle this ground. Oh, yep, did you see it? Did you see the spark in there? Look at this ground wire. I'm gonna wiggle it, I'll honk, and then it'll spark and lose connection. Come on. Well, I saw a spark, just believe me. I'm gonna pull that out and clean it thoroughly. First, turn the key off. Second, pull the wire out. Should be as easy as just getting a screwdriver. Oops, sorry, microphone. Should be just as easy as getting a screwdriver in there, grabbing this wire, and plopping it out. I'm gonna need a flashlight for this, because it's a little dark for me. Okay, thankfully this just came straight out without any drama to it. Inside there is where it's a little dirty, and we're gonna wanna clean it up nicely. However, it's tight quarters, so grab a flashlight, grab a toothbrush or something, and give it a good cleaning inside those contacts. Grab a toothbrush, go in there, give it a quick cleaning with maybe some alcohol on the brush or your favorite brake cleaner. And once that's clean, take some long nose pliers to this wire and stick it back on the ground pin. Pretty easy repair. Now while we're here, let's check. I don't know what the top wire is actually. That's something else entirely, or is it just... Ooh, what's this? I don't want to disconnect. I don't know what's happening here. Oh, I see. There's a top ground wire as well. That goes to this wire here with the little blue connector on it, and that appears to go to the left side switch. I'm not sure what the story is there, but I'm gonna clean that too because no stone unturned. Then we'll take the car out for a drive to the gas station, fill her up. Hopefully we don't have a leaky gas tank or anything like that, and have ourselves a good time driving a little bit. If all goes as planned, I might be able to drive this to the theater today or tomorrow. If all goes as planned, I might be able to get this thing registered tomorrow. All right, loyal viewership, I beseech you in the comment section below to tell me what that top wire is right up here. Right there. I don't really know, and it looks like you squeeze the sides and pull it out. I couldn't get it to come out, and to be honest, I'm not really gonna mess with it. It might be just one of those leave well enough alone situations. The top one is cleaned up, the bottom wire is cleaned up nicely, and then of course everything tucks in up here with this little rubber piece here. So don't forget to make sure all your wires are tucked away nicely, because there's a lot of moving that the steering wheel does. Actually, everything stays pretty permanent. There's a clock spring in there, of course. I'm not really sure how Volvo did clock springs in the early 80s, but I'm not gonna mess with that right now. We're just gonna slap on our cover once again. Thankfully, I didn't mar it badly so that it's more or less in good shape. Voila. Turn the key on and check. Beep and boop. All right, let's go for a drive. Let's get off these ramps once and for all, too. Oh, wait, I gotta do the hinges on the hood. Oops, almost forgot.